Hi everyone and welcome to week 12. This is the first of the two sets of PowerPoints this week. The second one is on a review of the whole semester. So for now we're looking at Future of HRD. We're looking at future trends, ideas and areas of importance for HRD. There's some important points for the profession, and we also note that research often lags behind actual practice. So innovative practitioners can often get in and see what's going on and really approach the future with that knowledge. So think about your own ideas for the future and what you think will have the greatest impact on HRD. There are many ideas of the two text refers to, ours, Gold, and the Noe Winkler text. They're both taken different approaches, so you may well have different and better ideas as well. So, for future trends in the text, we're looking at these 6 areas. So, responding to the current context. So, what's happening right now? We all know that we've had a GFC, and that was many years ago now, but we're still coming out of that, so we're told. And various countries are dealing with that in different ways. So, you know, are we in a growth phase at the moment? We've certainly, you'd think so by the look of the high rises going up around here, but that's due to low interest rates. So there's always a changing and fluctuating external environment with opportunities and restraints. So for HRD, we have to try and focus in on that. We need to keep in mind that the value and benefits of HRD are there for the individual, the group, the organisation, and at the whole societal level. So you may have heard how different areas such as workplace health and safety are now attempting to be made national rather than just state-based. So in a way the effectiveness can be improved by looking at the best from the different states and making that into something coherent, making it fair for everybody. So that's a societal move in a way, because when we look at natural disasters occurring, we are needing a health and safety response, and that will be really effective. So these sorts of societal big picture ideas are linked to HRD. Politically speaking, we do need to sell HRD in a positive way, and part of the role of a HRD professional is to make sure that HRD is being sold in the organisation so that it's linked with strategy. There's some very good ideas coming forward, very good evaluations being done, so that the processes can be seen as valuable and taken on board, because as we've talked about many times, training and development has a cost, so we have to be fully aware of the advantages. There are extra readings on the site about power in relation to HRD, and you know, that's a very interesting topic on its own. Who holds the power in terms of the money and the energy that goes into training and development? So we have to think about the young, the net geners. They're growing up with technology. What are they going to do to shape HRD? Obviously they're going to be able to really take on board some of the newer ideas around e-learning, e-training, those sorts of things. We do have a youth unemployment problem. Hopefully HRD can offer programs and training in those areas. Can we develop education and business partnerships? How can we really improve learning and development for young people right across the board, so that they're not left in this gap of unemployment? Talent management, we've discussed already. Globalisation appears to be a reality. Some people, of course, wish it wasn't. But it is happening. We're more aware of other cultures. Our media shows us more news about other places, and we are therefore being sometimes confronted with very changing values. In terms of organisations, there is less organisational loyalty by people, and organisations themselves are no longer set up as somebody who, okay, we're going to offer you a job for life, as was really not that many decades ago. It used to happen. We've talked about boundaryless careers, how you might be more flexible now in your career. And retention. You know, is retention a good thing or a bad thing? If you're retaining people who really aren't that interested in what's going on, well, that's obviously not a good thing. But if you're losing your people who are really effective and contributing, well, that's obviously a huge problem. Talent management, these are some of the ethics and the values that we talked about. Should that be exclusive just for a few people who might be put themselves forward perhaps, or be seen, or should that be seen as something, okay, we're here together, like diversity management, how do we help everyone to reach their potential? Corporate social responsibility, responsible businesses, there is a push for this, at taking ethical approaches, accounts of economical, social, environmental and human impacts and rights. Organisations hopefully are taking responsibility for the environment and for getting rid of waste, but I think we all know that that's a big problem still. And giving back to their communities. So some of the big mining companies say that they've attempted to do this by, for example, recruiting and training and developing an employee and local employees rather than bring them in. But of course, you know, that contradicts rather much with the fly-in, fly-out workers. But there are these areas of debate that you'll see all the time in the media. And HRD at its heart is really committed to employees. So, you know, what can we do that was going to help? Diversity we've mentioned, talked about the importance of being aware of different views. And this is quite a big area for HRD, diversity, training. And hopefully your programs, any that you might run, will be well designed and also well evaluated, because that's a really big gap in diversity training programs. What is really effective? Critical and ethical HRD, another area. What are the ethics behind HRD? While other professions do have registration and they might have particular programs around ethics and different development that they have to tick off, CPDs, etc. HR profession hasn't got that yet. I think there's a move towards that, where you will be an accredited HRD practitioner. So that will give more formal information about the ethics of HRD. So in the meantime, you know, it's incredibly important, and I know you are aware of your own ethics and what you're providing within an organisation, how you're interacting. So critical HRD considers the overall purposes and impacts of HRD. So not just economically, what the benefits might be, what the costs might be, but also critically, how does HRD really interact with an organisation? Is it included in top management discussions, for example? So, the future trends that Noe and Winkler focus on are actually quite different, but there'll be areas of overlap. So new technologies, capturing and sharing intellectual capital, performance management and change management. So some big picture ideas here. New technologies. So what are the costs of those? What are they, first of all? Can we access them? And what are the costs? What products are coming online? How can we use those to better effect? So gradually, technologies that once seemed new become more commonplace, and then they're integrated into workplaces. You're doing online learning. Some people, of course, are doing virtual work, working from home, working with teams. working across countries, across whatever. So those virtual work arrangements, you could argue, are going to be more possible in the future, but of course face-to-face communication, meeting with people, is still considered to be quite important. But obviously with Skype and these sorts of things, that can even be done online. So rapid instructional design has been put forward, and really this isn't anything different to what we've said, but it does in this unit. It's more about doing things quickly. So really having the agility, the resources, the thought processes, the people on board, so that if there's a problem that's arising, you can rapidly attend to it. It's not something that, oh, okay, our products aren't selling very well this week, oh, we'll look at that in a month or something. It's really, the whole emphasis is on being rapidly able to respond. And this, of course, is possible through greater use of technology. So this little diagram here is off the web on rapid instructional design. You can see the 4 phases there. Actually, there isn't evaluation, but of course there should be. But it's this idea that you can rapidly identify a problem, prepare, create something, a presentation, get people involved, very much a focus on active learning, doing it, show me how it's going to look, and then actually doing it. With new technologies, it's argued we will have more flexibility, and certainly our online programs speak to that. And that with new technologies, we can also have multiple approaches, not just not just classroom and tutorials as we've traditionally had, but also blended learning approaches, and so on. So Noeen Winkler suggests there'll be an increased emphasis on capturing and sharing intellectual capital, and you can see this coming through in the use of the intranet and what you can gain from that. So how to manage and coordinate that, and how to create an organisational learning environment where different bits of information, conferences, statistics from workplace surveys, all these sorts of things can be put together and put on an intranet so that different initiatives aren't being lost. HRD, they argue, will have a critical involvement in building learning capacities and sharing of knowledge and skill development over time. Intellectual property is a big thing, of course, because with the internet, it's very easy to take someone's intellectual property. If something's recorded, maybe a lecture's recorded, well, it's easy enough for that to be shared. Whereas in the old days, a lecturer might be in a room with no means of sharing that. All you could do is be there and take a lot of notes. So intellectual property will become an issue and has become an issue with the web. Performance management is often linked in with training and development because of this idea that really what improving performance should be about is developing your knowledge, skills and abilities in the areas of need. So performance management is an important process that recognises both strengths and performance gaps, and with the support of a coach or a mentor or training sessions, you can work out the best way to address that and progress. So if there's not just one best answer, there's more of an emphasis on learning as needed. So instead of having a one-off performance management meeting that you might have had once, you might have a series of more informal meetings throughout the year. And then, okay, this is a problem, it's arisen, what can be done now? Is there something you can do now? Much more, trying to get a more responsive process. Change management is recognising that any HRD initiative brings a change of some sort. So developing an organisation, how to actually roll out change programs across an organisation, and if you're going to change a culture, how are you going to do that? So if you want to have, for example, letting people know about workplace bullying, you would need to look at policies, you would need to look at education, what people know about that, what witnesses might do when they notice workplace bullying, all these sorts of things. How do you change that? There's not one way to change a workplace culture. So a change process is a planned and systematic way of improving organisational effectiveness and increasing learning and problem-solving capabilities. So it's all linked in there with HRD. So the future of the HRD profession. You might have some really good ideas about this. We can't predict it, but it is useful to think the possibilities. And I know some of you in your written pieces have mentioned what you're considering in the wider environment, in the HRD profession, and in your own development, so that you can direct your way forward through education and learning and experience. Interestingly, you might like to have a look on page 418 of the text, where there's 4 different scenarios about what could happen with learning. It could be very positive, where we're all, positively progressing, or it could be quite negative. That's interesting to have a look at. So, relevant aims and hopeful outcomes. Manage knowledge and learning effectively. We would aim to develop lifelong learning through organisational learning and individual learning. Want to have, therefore, learning as an organisational norm. This is what we do around here. If there's something we're not sure about, we make sure we learn about that. HRD ideally and should be an inclusive activity, so that everyone has opportunities to be engaged in HRD. So there should be greater focus on evaluation, hopefully, including ROI, which is a return on investment, a quite long-term and complicated thing to work out, but needs to be included as part of evaluation. Hope that we can continually improve our own HRD professional skills and relate HRD to organisational strategy. So should you be in an organisational role, that is an important goal, is making HRD part of that important strategy. So you as the HRD professional or practitioner, it's important to understand HRD processes and applications, and we've talked about that at length, including the 4-stage model, and especially emphasising the importance of evaluation, which isn't done that often. SWOT analysis and PEST analysis, you'll have the opportunity to work with those in the 3rd assessment item. Rosabeth Moss-Cantor's work, zoom in, zoom out. As professionals and practitioners, we need to be able to see the bigger picture, like strategy, but also zoom in on problem areas and just those really sticky issues that need really focused attention. Every organisation is filled with politics, people pushing and pulling and what have you. So as a HRD person, it is important to be aware of that politics occurs, and that you have to be in there selling what you can do based on your evaluations, based on your belief about how important this is. So while it costs, these are the benefits. We all do need to build strategic alliances. Who knows, who cares, who can. So making sure that we are supported ourselves in the best way, whether that's through a mentor or working with someone from another department who can help in a certain way. We all need to be able to influence stakeholders and to work in multidisciplinary teams. So the importance of being able to work in a team has been pointed out many times. Okay, so in overview, HRD as a field of research and practice has come a long way in a relatively short period of time. A range of ideas and scenarios have been presented about the future, and you've probably got some good ideas there as well. In the midst of uncertainty, difficulty and change in the world, we can respond by exploring, learning and examining our assumptions about our future lives. So as HRD people, we would put learning at the centre of the future. Thank you, and the second PowerPoint's about an overview. So thanks a lot. It's been great to work with you over these 12 weeks, and we'll continue.